Dr. Carl Weschke was a pioneer physician and druggist who came to New Ulm in 1860. From the time of his arrival in New Ulm until 1867, he was one of the few physicians for miles around, and the only doctor in town in the early hours of the fighting during the Dakota War. Weschke opened the Pioneer Drug Store in 1868 and watched it grow into one of downtown's most important businesses. He also got involved in local politics, becoming the city's mayor in 1878, a position he would hold for 15 years. So it was the best of times for Dr. Weschke, until in the summer of 1881, New Ulm's greatest natural disaster struck. On July 15th, 4 funnel clouds swept out of the sky and headed toward New Ulm. 5-year-old Robert Runk, working on his family farm outside of town, recalled years later,
"Father and my 3 older brothers were in the hayfield. They saw the storm coming and just got the horses in the barn. It had William up in the air 10 to 15 feet and landed him about 50 feet east of the house, and it knocked Brother Philip under the granary, which stood on rocks about 1.5 feet high. When Father found him, he did not have a stitch of clothing on, just as bare as he was born and with a large wound in his head."
By 4:45, the cyclone reached town and struck with full force, bringing death and destruction. William Fender, Jr., seeking refuge in Dr. Weschke's drugstore, was blown out of the building and carried in the air for nearly a block. One man said the air seemed alive with cattle, horses, dogs, cats, and domestic fowls. But within 10 minutes it was all over. 5 were dead and 53 injured. Hundreds of homes suffered damage, with nearly 40 totally destroyed. Churches lost roofs and steeples. Howenstein's brewery was leveled. Some storefronts, including Dr. Weschke's, were demolished. As word of the devastation spread across the country, donations poured into the city, although Rochester, Minnesota reportedly telegraphed back that it was probably God's punishment for New Ulm's sins. Dr. Weschke promptly rebuilt his store, and the front looks much the same as it did in the fall of 1881. 5 years later, he sold the business to Andrew Eckstein. Among the new owner's upstairs tenants were a trio of talented artists, Christian Heller, Anton Gog, and Alexander Schwendinger. The 3 began an art school and shared an interior decorating business. They often collaborated on major commissions, such as the frescoes at Holy Trinity Church. Anton Gog gained additional fame in later years as the father of artist Wanda Gog, the author of such classic children's books as Millions of Cats and the ABC Bunny. But no matter who the tenants were, the building continued to be used as a drugstore until the closure of Polta Drug in the year 2000.